Hi, this is my interview record, and the question I prepared for this is the first one is what best practice do you use when working with engineer? For these questions during interview, I might say, mm, I faced similar scenario before. On my previous working experience, we have to cooperate with the engineer closely. They will help us to implement the mobile app or web design, and sometimes the conflicts come from that engineer might say, it does this design doesn't work for our code, or this design it doesn't make sense because, or they say they cannot do that. And sometimes there's a reason behind those reply or feedback. And the first thing I will do is I will try to understand what's the reason that say no for this design. If this is a schedule concern, then I will probably say, okay, so if we only have a week, or we only have 2 weeks for doing this design, probably I can say, okay, probably we can finish to which step firstly, and if we still have time, then we can move forward to do the ideal one. So that's something I will handle with the schedule conflict. And if there is a technical problem, like they don't have uh, they don't have the function or they don't have the skill to implement that. Some usually I will do some brief or general study for that technology, but I will still respect their answer. And for that time, I will say, okay, so right now, what kind of technology you can use to implement this application, and based on those technology, I will modify my design, but I will still follow my design guide and make sure everything work well. Just kind of like use different approach to reach the purpose of the design. So that's something I will do if I have to convince engineer to implement my design. Okay, so right now the second question is, given a situation where there is not enough time to do research, and what do you do? Mm, Usually, usually in the industrial, based on my previous working experience, each project, every project has a tight schedule. So, um, almost like 70% of the project won't have time to do the really strong research for the design. So in that situation, probably there are several approach can be used, and I have used before. First is get some outsourcing. Like if there are some design organization or consultant company, they do help the company to do the part of the research. So if they do have some related report, relevant report, probably one way is if we have budget, we can buy that report and give us a general knowledge about the problem. And secondly, another way if we will have to do research by ourselves, probably we can speed up the process. Like if you have an ideally we have to interview like more than 20 to 30 people, but if there is a schedule concern, then probably we can interview 5 to 8 firstly, and come out some more general persona or scenario or user profile data to do a research. And also we can adjust the research method. Like if there's a lot of step we have to do once if there's a lot of step, if it's not necessary or the priority is, if our priority is not that important, probably we can skip part of the step and jump um, jump to the more important one. So the third question is, how do you feel about working for a small agency versus a large corporation? Feel about working. Okay, from my understanding, in the big company, big organization, they probably have more resource to do the development or research. Um, so for as a designer or even a UX researcher, we have more time or more, it will be more flexible for this role to do their work. But for a small agent like a startup company or a small team, everyone has their responsibility. Everyone has their job to finish, and because the human resource is not enough, so probably as a designer, you also have to do the research. You also have to do the testing, and you also have to do probably part of the front end programming. So working in a small agency, I think it's good for the designer to grow up fastly because you have to handle all the things together. But if we're working in a large company, first you can learn the organization, and also you will have more deeper understanding for a specific task. Like if you are just focused on design wireframing, then probably you will kind of like accumulate a lot of experience in wireframing, but probably you won't have time or you won't have the chance to do the research or testing or the programming part. So that's a difference, I think. So. Okay, thank you.